this assignment, we are going to take a look at the idea that we have a top view and a front view and a side view, but sometimes a section that looks like similar to the front view. And we're using the miter method. So we'll take a look at that as well as introducing the hatch command to this drawing. So this is the final drawing, or whatever we come up with at the end of the video. You can see that I added more dimensions for your reference than originally. So the worksheet will show you a 3D model for your reference of what we're drawing in this part. And we are going to draw together the top view and the side view, and then we're going to let you, and I'll give you directions on it, create this section view based on lining up all of the projection lines. This drawing also shows you the original drawing, showing the title block with some notes that are attached to this type of drawing. But you'll see that in the 3D view, we've got an elevated piece here that slopes down to a lower piece that has this raised hole. Now there are specific terms for these pieces, but right now we're keeping it basic. If you look towards this part on the side view, you'll see this little notch right there, and you'll see hidden this hole in the back. That's what all of this is. This piece here, that's this rectangle, is the piece that's at an angle here. So everything lines up. Everything lines up, and we're going to take a look at how the different views have projection lines that if you follow them straight down, you can go right from the top to this section view and then over to the side view to better understand what you're looking at. So getting started, we're going to concentrate on the top view first. Save your file and create your layers. We'll have the same type of layers we've been using with an object layer, hidden, center, dim text. And with those layers, we have the object layer line weight 0.60. Remember, we have a hidden layer that has a line type hidden and a center layer that has the center line type. The new layer that we're creating is called hatch, and we'll keep all the default settings for it. So making the object layer current, you can double click here to make it current, or you can drop this list down and click on the word object. Okay, with the object layer current, let's take a look at this drawing. Based on the side view, looking in this direction, this whole part from top to bottom is 2.5. So sometimes we don't put the same dimension on all sides. So we have to know that the height of this top view, or the distance from the top to the bottom, is 2.5. So let's start with this box over here, and then we'll create the circle. We're also going to draw this little notch over here. We might as well, as we're working with this, instead of building it out right here. So let's get started. Start the line command, click a point, pull your mouse to the right, type in 4 and enter. Now just pull your mouse straight down and type in 0.75 and enter for this first little leg here. And then pull your mouse back to the left, 1.5 and enter. And then down, straight down, 1 and enter. And to the right, 1.5 and enter. And then straight down, 0.75 and enter. Back to the left, 4 and enter. And then C for close and enter. Now you know from tracking that I love, and I didn't do that here, that you didn't have to type in 4. You could rest your pointer up here and track to the next line. We've been learning tools as we go, right? So it's your choice. Here we can offset, right? We have an offset of 0.5 to the right, and we'll hold off on these hidden lines until we get the main outline. So we'll offset 0.5 to the right and 2.25 to the left. All right, good practice. Start the offset command, type in 0.5 and enter, select this line and pick to the right. Select that same line pull your mouse to the left and type in 2.25 and enter. That's going to be the center of the circles. You can go ahead and enter or escape out of that. We do have a center line that comes all the way across, so make sure your object snaps down at the bottom have midpoint, so we can draw a line midpoint across. So down at the bottom, look for those object snaps we've been using, look for the little arrow next to it, and make sure there's a check mark in midpoint. So when you start the line command, you can now look for that little triangle here and click and pull your mouse across to draw this center line or section cut. That's what we're using it right here, the middle of this detail. Now we're ready to draw our circles. One is a diameter of 0.75 and the other one is a radius of 0.75. But if you take a look down here, sometimes information is in the other views. So we do have a diameter down here of the middle circle of 1.25. So let's draw all three of those circles. We can go to center, circle, center, diameter. We'll start with the small one. Pick here for your center point and type in 0.75 and enter. Go back to circle, center, diameter. Click that same center point and type in 1.25 and enter. Now we have a radius, that biggest circle. We'll go up to circle, center, radius. Click the center point and type in 0.75 and enter. This is how the circles should look as you're drawing those three. Now, if any one of these didn't look quite right, you can double click on it, any one of these, and take a look at this box of information. If it wasn't correct, you could click inside here, this box, and change your diameter or radius to whatever you need. When you press enter, it would automatically update it. So you don't have to redraw the circle. Just double click and use this menu to update the circle size. I'll pick the little X mark there to close out of it. I still have a little bit of a cold, so excuse my deeper voice as I am at the end of the cold. Okay, so we did this once before. We used tangent to be able to draw a line that's tangent to this outside circle. Now, the way that we did that is while we were drawing the line, when it asked us for a point, we held our shift key down and our right mouse button to pick tangent, and then it kind of turned off, or it was an override for all of the other object snaps. So I'll use my escape key to get out of this, but follow these steps. Start the line command, click the end of the line up at the top, hold your shift key down and your right mouse button and pick tangent. Then come over to this bigger circle. You see how I can see the tangent right there? Object snap and click. Right click and pick enter or enter. So I'll do it again down here. Start the line command, click the end of this line at the bottom, hold your shift key and your right mouse button. So hold the shift key and then press the right mouse button, pick tangent, come over to this circle here and get that tangent little object snap marker and click. And then enter. I right click and pick enter. And so there is your line that's tangent to the circle. We can trim a few things, right? This inside circle, let's start the trim command and take this inside circle here and here out. Now, be careful here. There's a little piece left over because this line right here became another cutting edge. You have to get close enough to take that little piece out right there back to the tangent. You can then right click and pick enter or escape out of that. Okay, so we do have some fillets over here for this top view. And 2x means there are two of them at a radius of 0.5. So start the fillet command. Make sure you click on multiple or type in M for multiple. And then click on radius in the command line or type in R for radius. You should get to a command line prompt that says specify fillet radius. We're going to type in 0.5 and enter. I'll click the top line and the line to the right, and then the bottom line and this line here to the right. and enter. So now we have the solid, lines that make up our part. And now we're going to take a look at these hidden lines. Now, if you take a look at the section is showing that this bottom part angles. So these two hidden lines are showing the top of the angle and the bottom of the angle. If I project this straight down, you see how it lines up? And this lines up with this. So keep that in mind when you're actually drawing this angled line, because it comes from these two hidden lines. So when we're drawing these hidden lines, we can use these dimensions down here in the section for those offsets. One is 2.75 and the other is 3.25. Now, we ended up with just these small pieces down here. So it's okay. We'll just use this small straight piece and then we'll stretch it and we'll move it to the right layer. Now, some of you that use tracking, you know that there's a different way of doing everything, right? So let's offset. Start the offset command and type in 2.75 and enter. I'm going to make sure that I click on this little piece down here that's at the far right side as my object, and then pick to the left. See how it just gives me that little piece? And then might as well do it again. Click on that same line as your object to offset on the far right. Pull your mouse to the left and type in 3.25 and enter. Escape out of that. And there are a couple of different ways of doing this. If I click on this line and then I use the blue grips, I can click inside this blue box and pull my mouse down and click, pick inside this blue box, pull my mouse up and click. That's one way. The other way, which I should show you, is to use what's called extend. It's underneath the trim command, and it helps you to extend instead of trim. Although extend is also inside the trim command. We'll take a look at that next time we use the trim command. So we'll come up to trim and down to extend. And now if I click on this line, see how it extends? As long as I'm clicking on the line between the midpoint and the end point, it's going to extend. You see how it only extended there? Then I have to click it again to extend there. So you can use the extend command. I'm going to go ahead and escape out of that. Or you can use stretch to click on it and pull your mouse up to and stretch that line out. All right. So we need to move those lines to the right layer. They're both on the object layer and they need to be hidden. So click on these two lines, drop this layer list down, and click right on the word hidden. Use your escape key to get rid of those grips. All right. While we're at it, usually this is a center line, but because it's a section cut through to show the section here, it's section AA. See over here, section AA. It has an A on the top part, and that would be what this is called, section AA. So it's like cutting this part in half and looking at it in one direction, looking up like that. Okay, so let's click on that line and also put it on the hidden layer. So select the line, drop your list down and click on the word hidden. And since we have it selected, let's click inside this little grip that's at the end of the line and stretch it out a little bit. Just like that. Use your escape key to get out of there. We don't really need this one, so we can just delete this one, the line that we used for the circles. And that is our top view so far. So just so you know, there are a lot of different ways of drawing this. Sometimes we draw the front view first and the side view or the top view, but I'd like to introduce to you here this way of drafting in case you haven't seen it yet. It's the miter method of drafting. So if you just did a search for the miter method of drafting and clicked on images, you would see all of these examples of how the top view here at the top, front view, lines up completely. All the pieces of anything that's happening in the top view are lining up with the front view. It's the same part, just a different view. And the right view or right side view would line up with the front view. But here's the part that we're going to look at is that the top view, all of these pieces from the top view can come over to this 45-degree line and down to create this right side view. So this is something that we're going to be working with in this module. This is a different example, different drawing to show you, and you can use the internet search as well, that the top view is going to be projected over to this 45-degree line and down. All of these pieces from the top view can hit that 45-degree line and come straight down to find those parts in the side view. Everything from the front view gets projected over to the side view, and everything in the top view gets projected down here to the front view. Just wanted to show you that as an example. So going back to our drawing, before we draw the side view, I want to use this drawing to show you where those lines are coming from. So just as a reference, this bottom line of the top view is going to come over, and then it's going to come down to create the beginning of the side view. From this intersection, we draw a 45-degree line. Then from that, we can pick up any one of these lines from the top view to project down to the side view and find our side view line work. Now, you can use offsets. This is a method of drafting. It's a kind of an easier way, I think, to find lines, like especially this hidden view here in the side view. It's hidden of this hole that goes through, and this little piece that's projected. It's actually called a boss, and in technical drawings, the note sometimes says boss at whatever the diameter is. And on these, you can see that it's kind of like the elevated part of the hole. And over here, sometimes it has a fillet around it. So just wanted to point that out. That's why I was about ready to call it a boss, but technical terms. And so this piece that's elevated here is shown hidden because you're looking through the part to see it over here. And that's why sometimes it's easier to create these miter lines so that we can draw those lines over to the 45-degree and then down here to see that it lines up. See that? Okay, and once you have it drawn and you work with these heights in creating the section, you'll be able to project all of these lines, like this one, down to find where this hole is. See how these projections come down to the front view or the section, which is what we're doing right now, to create this little part. Okay, so back in our drawing, let's make sure that down at the bottom we have our 45-degree tracking vector selected. So at the very bottom right corner, the fourth icon over, it's called polar tracking. There's a little arrow next to it. Make sure that the polar tracking icon stays blue and on. And here we already set this up at 45, but it might have reverted back to 90 if you're using the computers that Macomb uses. So make sure that's at 45. So we'll use the layer 0. If you want to change the color of layer 0 to something else, I used number 9. It's kind of a gray color that shows these miter lines, and this is only to help you for drafting this tool, making sure that everything is lined up. First thing we should do is make sure that the layer 0 is current, and then start the line command and click here at the bottom. Pull your mouse over to where you think you might want the side view to start and click, and then come all the way down to where you might want the bottom of the side view to start, someplace around here. Now end that line and then come back up here and start the line command again and click here to create your 45-degree line. I'll just pull my mouse over here and click someplace off in space. So now we can start to project these lines in order for us to pick up the side view. So start the line command, click here at the top, pull your mouse over to the 45, and come down. I think we can track over to draw your line at the bottom right here. It doesn't matter exactly how long it goes because it's really a reference. So I'm going to start the line command, and let's start with these main lines, not the hidden lines. We'll go here for this little kind of notch out, I'm going to click here, pull my mouse over and click, pull my mouse down. I can go real far, like down here, it doesn't matter, we're using it as a reference. Same thing here, I'm going to click here at this corner, pull my mouse over and click, and down and click. So to start with, what we just developed would be the these two lines, solid lines that represent this notch at the top. All right, so let's stop there and start to draw the side view. Drop your list down of layers and make sure your object layer is current. Start the line command, and guys, I'm just going to click the bottom of this first line, someplace I want to start right here. Now, you can pull your mouse over and type in 2.5, or if you know that this line is in line with this, you can click. But if you want to pull your mouse over and type in 2.5 and enter, that's good. Or bring it over to hit this line, right? Pull your mouse straight up and type in 2.75 and enter. I got the 2.75 in the drawing. It shows 2.75 for the height. Pull your mouse over to back to this line and click, and then C for close to close back that rectangle. What did we just draw? We just really drew a rectangle that's 2.5 by wide by 2.75 height. Okay, now we do know that this, based on this section, that this is 1. So this little leg that's from the top view is 1 down. So let's start the offset command. Type in 1 and enter. Click on this top line and pull your mouse down and click and enter. So now we know where these two lines are, right here. We can just start the line command and click here and here and here and here. We're drawing these lines. I'm right clicking and picking enter. Then I'm right clicking and repeating the line. There's our side view. Right. If you want to clean that up a little, we can pull these lines back, these graphic lines back, so that with the grips, just to kind of like, you can see that these lines come over and down. If you decide to offset everything and draw this side view, that's okay as well, because the miter lines are not required in this one to be showing. You're showing the final drawing with the top view and the section on the side view. But now it does make it a little bit easier, I think, for us to create this these hidden lines. Although we could use offsets here and the diameters for these circles to draw the same side view, I think it might be a little helpful to use the miter method of drafting. So for this one, make sure that you have your quadrant object snap on and checked. Those object snaps at the bottom. Once you turn these on, they should be on. But like I said, if you're using a different computer and it goes back to the out-of-box settings, you would need to make sure, like using Splashtop or the computer, to come over here in your object snap menu and make sure quadrant is checked. Now I'm going to start the line command, and I'm going to come over here. Oh, first, hold on. Just because we're doing this way, I am going to change the layer back to 0. So change the layer back to 0 to make sure that you're drawing those reference lines, and start the line command and go to let's do the whole first. So the smallest circle, I'm going to click at the top of the smallest circle. Bring my line straight across to the 45-degree line. Make sure it's straight across to it. I may have to get up here closer to make sure, and click. And then down all the way to the bottom of this line and click. I'm going to draw the line again from the bottom of the small circle over to the 45-degree miter line and down here to the bottom. See what I have now? I have the two lines that make up the whole for this part over there. And now we have two more lines that make up that boss, or that piece that's elevated sticking up right there. So start the line command. I'm going to the center circle here, the middle one, the second circle, and coming over and down. And again, here from that second circle down to the side view. If you decide to use this method, that's fine. If you are more comfortable with using the given information from the section, that's fine too. We do have to offset over here. It looks like we have an offset of 1 for the bottom part, and we have an offset of 0.25 for that small, boss that's coming up there. Okay, so in our drawing, we're going to start the offset command, type in 1 and enter, click the bottom line right here, and pick up, go up. And then we'll click that line as the object to offset, pull your mouse up and type in 0.25 and enter. Now we have kind of like a grid. We have the grid that we can use to draw the rest of the side view. And since we have a grid that we can use, why not make the hidden layer current? So drop this list down of layers, pick the hidden layer, and just draw what you see in the side view. I'm going to start the line command. Some people will move those lines to those layers. So like I said, you can move all these lines to the right layer and start to trim them, or you can draw the lines and then take those out. I think it might be better to move these two to the hidden layer and then draw the rest. So you'll see there's a lot of different ways of doing this. I'm going to take these two lines right here and select them and move them to the hidden layer. Escape out of that. And now I'll draw the rest. But you can move these other 4 there and trim it all out. It's up to you. I'll start the line command. Now be careful here because I'm drawing the hole that goes from the bottom up to here. And I'm drawing this other line that goes up right there, the hole. And then the only other ones I need are the ends of this boss, like right there, that one, and this one. At this point, I think you're ready to delete some lines or trim them. Actually, I can delete these 4 gray ones. Sometimes I can just turn them off as well. But if I erase those and I trim these, remember trim and extend, because I used extend, it became the top one. So now I have to come up here and use trim. Trim that one and that one. We should have what we need right there. I know a little bit of building that's involved with it, so you decide on whether you're going to move lines to the right layer, trim them, redraw them. It's up to you. In the end, you end up with this. And all of that came from either projecting the lines over to this miter 45-degree line and down, or offset and information from the other 2 views. Okay. Now, when you don't want these miter lines, it's on its own layer. So as long as the layer is not current, you can drop this list down and click right on that little sun icon for the layer 0. See how everything is turned off? The display is turned off. But you won't be able to freeze your current layer. So make sure that you have a different layer current and then come up here and freeze the layer 0. We won't be using on and off right now, so make sure that those are all yellow. Okay, there is your top view and your side view. Let's take a look at dimensioning those. Set the dim text layer current, and up here we'll start to use linear. I'm going to click here and here. There's my linear. We know that we need to change the precision, so type in D and enter. Pick the modify button and change your primary units precision right here to 0.00. Also, I can see here that we did turn off the leading zero suppression leading, or else we would have been able to see 0.75. So put a check mark in leading at the bottom left underneath zero suppression and pick OK and close. And there's our dimension. We should be able to then continue with linear to pick up these dimensions and make sure you're lining it up with the existing dimension right there. You can right click and repeat it. I did add a few more dimensions to make it clearer for you, being first time maybe drawing something like this, because originally, and I'll show you, this original drawing here doesn't show all those dimensions. Why? Because they come from these other views, right? They come from these other views. You'd have to figure out a little bit of math or project those up here, depending on what you draw first. Okay, so we know how to dimension this. We can go underneath linear and pick diameter, click the small hole there, and then linear to radius, click here the outside line there. We do have some dimensions over here. This one is radius as well. It comes down there, but then remember we have to double click on the text to add the 2x space. We do have linear here, top, to show the 0.75. And we did say if you click on that dimension and click inside the grip that's closest to the text, you could pull that text up instead of it going down here. Start the linear command and let's get that 1 in here, right there. Okay, since we're here and we're working with linear, let's throw a couple more down here. We've got the 2.5 and the 2.75 right here. Now the other thing we can do is we can start to put text. We have a little A here and here to show the section AA. So this line went a little bit too far, so I'm going to kind of bring that back. And now I can go to multi-line text. And you can see the ABC, right? So I'm going to click here, pull my mouse across and click, and put an uppercase A in there, and then click in space. There it is. You can move it over. Remember, we click on it, and then we hold our left mouse button down on and drag it over to kind of get it in space there. You can copy that one, or you can just place it again. So I'm hoping that you're thinking about different ways that you would do this. If you just want to place it again over here, that's fine, but I'm going to show you how to copy it. So start the copy command in the modify panel. Select that little A and enter it, and then pick a base point. I'm going to pick a base point right on that line, right there, and then drag my pointer across, straight across until I see where I want the A to be, and I'll just click straight across, right there. Right click and enter. Perfect. So now I want to put top view here. We can go to multi-line text and click, pull your mouse across and click and type in uppercase top view. We also want to do the same thing over here for the side view. Multi-line text, click a point, pull your mouse across, and type in side view. Since we're working on it, let's put our main title, and you can always move it around later. We can pick down here and type in assignment 11 and your name. As we've been doing, highlight assignment 11 and pick the underline icon up at the top. Oh, double click to go back in if you didn't spell it right. All right. And we should make current the center line layer and draw this little center line over here. It's just really just a line that shows the center line, but you should click the midpoint of the bottom line there and pull your mouse up and click, right click and enter, and then click on that line and like stretch it out so that you can see that it's a center line. See how now I can see the center line, but I used the midpoint of the bottom line to kind of like draw it in place. All right, that is the side view and the top view, and now you'll be drawing this section. And before we do, let's take a look at hatch. So off to the side here, let's make the object layer current. And make the object layer current, and let's draw here a rectangle off to the side. Just a regular rectangle. You can go in the draw panel and find the rectangle command next to arc and draw a rectangle. Now any closed shape, which is what you'll end up with here, we can now set the hatch layer current. Set the hatch layer current in the draw panel at the bottom right there. There's the hatch icon. Go ahead and click on that. The whole ribbon changes and you have all of these different hatch patterns that you can use. Typically when we have a section that's through metal or some kind of material, we are using this default right here, ANSI 31, American National Standards Institute. It is for material that's, cut in half or showing a section. Sometimes we use ANSI 32 if we know it's steel, but for this example, we'll use ANSI 31. We can change the angle and the size, but more importantly, by default, we're picking a point that's inside a closed shape. So when you put your pointer inside any one of these closed shapes, you can start to see what it's going to look like. And because we're using the default scale of 1 and the default angle of this 45, we're just going to click to place the hatch. Now, if we wanted to get to this other side, we can also, click to create more pieces of that hatch. And that's what we're going to be doing for this this assignment. Let's go ahead and pick the green. You can either enter or you can pick the green check mark here at the top in the ribbon to end that command. You see how it's all one piece, so you don't want to explode it. Please do not explode it. But if you do need to change it, you can click on it and the ribbon shows you all of what you need. A side note here, just to show you this. If we have more than one piece that's hatched, and let's just say we did it during the same hatch command, you see how both of the hatch are connected? So sometimes it's a good idea when you're doing this, you can select it afterwards and you can separate the hatches. The reason I'm telling you this is that sometimes you have several individual drawings that you need to place the hatch in. So you can click in all those drawings and then separate the hatches so that later on, if you have to change your detail, they're not all the same piece. Just a little side note there. But for the small amount that we're working on, I just wanted to make sure that you were comfortable with placing that hatch in this detail. I'm going to go ahead and delete this out. This is not a part of your drawing. This is me showing you how to do it. Go back to your object layer, and I believe at this point you are ready to draw this side or this front view section. It's a section on your own using these projection lines from the top view and the side view, and of course offsets, but make sure that it's lined up. I mean, even if you had to draw a line from here and track over and click here and here, just to make sure that this is where that corner starts. And like I said, make sure that all of these projected lines, make up your drawing so that everything lines up. Just wanted to point that out to you. I'm going to go ahead and delete this here. All right. This is a great example for your portfolio to show your top view and your side view and a cross section that goes through the top view. Thing that we really should do so that your drawing looks correct, and that is to make this section line a phantom line. I know that the original drawing that I showed you, it looks like it's a hidden line, but a phantom line, and much darker, is typically used with arrows. And let me show you an example of that. If you do a search for section cut line type through a detail, you can see that there's the phantom line, there's the arrow. The arrow showing which way it's looking. So it's not usually, a thin line. It's a thicker line, and there's an arrow showing which direction, and usually a phantom line. So back in AutoCAD, let's set that up. It's good practice anyways. Click the Layer Properties button. You can highlight the object layer, why not, and then pick the new layer icon, since we want it to be bold like that, so you see how it picked up the same settings. And then let's call this section line, and then change the color if you'd like, just to make sure that you have a different, you have it on the right layer, let's just say. And then when you pick the word continuous for the line type for the new layer called section line, you pick load and you go scroll down and look for phantom, 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 pick OK. Make sure you highlight phantom like we were doing and pick OK. So now you have a new layer called section line with the line type phantom and this bolder line weight. So go back in the drawing, close out of this, go back in the drawing and click on that line that we used hidden on the hidden layer. Drop this layer list down and go put it on that new layer called section line right there. There it is. It doesn't show bold, but it is, right? And also we need to make that layer current so that we can put the arrows in. We're going to take this all the way through, guys. And you see the little double line there for the phantom line. So set the section line layer current. I'm going to show you how to draw just an arrow without all the dimension, right? And it's part of using the leader command. We've used the leader underneath linear there for like the arrow with text at the end, but we're going to modify it so that it doesn't have those the text at the end. So this is a little bit different, but if you go underneath the word annotation right here for that panel that we've been using, these are all of those styles that we can change. We've got text styles, dimension styles. In fact, this dimension styles is when we were typing D, and enter. But what we need is this M leader style. So learning a little bit more in this detail, underneath the annotation panel, still in the home tab, we're clicking on this third icon down, multi-leader style. It looks sort of like the dimension style, right? We can pick the modify button right there. And this is all about that leader, but we're going to go to the content tab, and under multi-leader type, instead of M text, which is text at the end of that leader, we're going to pick none. Now, just to show you, there is black as well if you wanted to have like a leader with one of these call outs at the end, or customize it with your own image there, but we're going to go ahead and click none. And what that will give us is just an arrow. In fact, this is none with a little ledge there. So for what we need, let's go over here and under the leader structure, we're going to take the check mark out of automatically include landing. And then you've got the arrow and just a line. And you can save these and rename them if you have several. Let's say you had some leaders in this, if you had some other leaders with text on the end, then you would create a new one here and instead of modifying the standard. But let's go ahead and pick OK and close. And now when you go to leader and click on leader, look at your command line. It's asking you to specify the arrowhead location first. That makes it a little bit harder for us, but we can click up here someplace and space the arrow, pull your mouse down and click, and now you see how you just have the arrow? Now, if we did that again and we changed it to the landing first, let me just go through this with you. If we go to leader, you see over here in the command line, if I pick leader landing first, now I can click the end of this line and pull my mouse up and click. The only reason it didn't show an arrow is I didn't go up far enough. So you have to go up far enough for it to show an arrow. So I had to like stretch it up a little bit. There it is. There's my arrow for the section. So pull this straight down. Pull this straight up. Yeah, it wanted to go crazy on me there. And then pull this up there. All right, so now if you go take a look at these examples, we have letters that represent the section cut, and usually they're put like at the top or at the sides of that section cut, like this over here. So let's go back to AutoCAD and move these over so that it doesn't really matter, but it's just kind of like cleaner if you have these over to the side there. And if you feel like you want to move these out a little bit because it's getting a little crowded, that's why I love these grips, to be able to change things around. Now I feel comfortable that we have this section cut in place. It's bold. It's a phantom line. It has these arrows on it so that the drawing looks presentable. Right, so we drew the top view and the side view, and now you will project the lines down and over and draw the section view, and this is what it will end up with. At the end of the assignment, you can go to print and change your, save it, right, and submit it to where your professor would like you to put it in the right file name. But for your portfolio, and I think it's a good idea to create this PDF right here, you're going to create your AutoCAD, like we have been, the AutoCAD PDF high quality print. Create your window around what you want to print. Make sure that you have centered the plot and you change the top right to monochrome. Pick yes. Make sure you pick apply to layout in preview, and you should see your drawing like this. Now you see how that's nice and bold, showing the center of the section cut going through the detail, and it's detail AA. Make sure that you have this note here that says section AA so that you can refer back to it. And now I'm going to plot this. And it is right there. That's the finished drawing. Okay. Keep in touch if you have any questions or need help.